Guys, I am legitimately furious that James Harden got hurt. This offseason, he did everything right. He took less money, he slimmed down, and dedicated himself to not only getting in the right physical shape, but also the right basketball shape. And yet, here we are. A lot of the new viewers on my channel may not know this, but I am a massive Harden fan. I've stayed in Houston for a large part of my life, so I do have a lot of respect for what he was able to accomplish and do in Houston. Even if it didn't result in a championship, he shattered record after record and had a ridiculous run, regardless of what anybody says. The thing is that though Harden is 33 and not getting any younger, I don't want for this run to be over. In my opinion, if he can stay healthy, then he has a lot of good basketball left. But the unfortunate question that has been looming over the back half of his career is, well, can he? It's wild to think how health has affected so many careers throughout this league. We've seen potential all-stars, even Hall of Famers, denied a shot at ever becoming what they could because of their inability to stay healthy. November 3rd, Woj will report that according to ESPN sources, that James Harden has suffered a right foot tendon strain and would be expected to miss at least a month. He went on to say that the Sixers 4-5 to start the season will turn to Joel Embiid to carry a massive load for an undermanned team. Embiid, playing at an MVP level throughout last season, would plan to lean much more on guard Tyrese Maxey, who has shown star potential. Derek Bodner would go on to say that though James Harden will be reevaluated in approximately 2 weeks following the diagnosis of a tendon strain in his right foot, that would not mean that he's going to return in 2 weeks. To be short, basically the Sixers are going to have to find a way to cope without their best playmaker, which is not really what you want to hear coming from a roster that is coached by Doc Rivers and, just to be real with you guys, does not have a lot of playmakers. Now, before I really get too deep into the struggles that are occurring in Philly, I just want to highlight the fact that James Harden is currently 9th in the NBA in minutes per game at 36.8. Last season, he was 6th in the NBA at 37.2. That number grows stronger if you take out Xavier Simpson and Melvin Frazier Jr., who both played less than 5 games last year. To make matters worse, Harden was only trailing Kyrie Irving, KD, and Maxey at the time of his injury in minutes. Now, you guys don't have to believe this, but personally, I firmly believe that oftentimes, but not always, that overloading your stars with minutes can be a sign of an incompetent coach, or at least a desperate coach. I mean, let's be real. Was playing an aging Harden on a bad or questionable hamstrings, who was top 5 in minutes per game last season, really a good idea? Now, of course, it's impossible to know if lowering his minutes or easing him in would have prevented his injury, but I don't think it would have been a bad idea nonetheless. I've got a lot of respect for the things that Doc has been able to accomplish throughout his career, but I'd be lying to you guys if I said that as time went on, I didn't start to question him more and more. A few games ago at a press conference, Doc would answer a question on Paul Reed. Paul Reed had a solid game. He looked pretty good. This is what he would have to say when asked about Paul Reed potentially playing more. To quote Doc, "I thought Paul was okay. I thought offensively, same struggle with Matisse. In a lot of ways, they start playing off ball, and that's something that he's going to get better at. I thought he gave us energy, though, blocked a couple of shots." He continued by saying, "But again, offensively, I thought we struggled to score on the other end because of the same thing. So, him and Trez, it's funny. When Trez plays well, I don't hear the same question." This response is incredibly ironic for many different reasons. For one, it seems like Paul Reed is just a better option than Montrezl Harrell at this stage of their careers. For two, Paul Reed was literally losing minutes to DeAndre Jordan last season. Now, I don't think Paul Reed is the greatest basketball player to ever touch the face of this planet or anything like that, but to not be playing over 76ers DJ, that's just not fair to him. On top of that, Doc is the same guy last season that after a good Paul Reed game that said we're not going on a Paul Reed victory tour, we're trying to win a championship. Now, without context, Doc saying this sounds pretty absurd, but when you add in the fact that he was seemingly trying to dunk on a reporter, it makes so much more sense. I'll give it to Doc. This guy has some Hall of Fame quotes. When they caught that nasty 3-1 elimination, him and PG had a back and forth, which ended with Doc saying this: "Hey, listen, I enjoyed coaching him." So not a lot to say there. Ty Lue was sitting right next to me, so you better hope it's not adjustments. It ain't going to be much different. The following year, Lue would prove how capable he was of adjusting to everybody throughout those playoffs. He's quite literally a coach that became known for their adjustments. The irony about the Paul Reed stuff is that Doc was in part indirectly fired for overplaying Trez against the Nuggets in the NBA bubble, leading to that infamous 3-1 collapse that robbed us from seeing the Battle of Los Angeles in the conference finals. To quote Jokic, "They didn't try to change anything about guarding us. When it was 3-3, we knew it was over for them." At this point in time, I legit feel bad for the Philadelphia 76ers. This is a team that lacks playmaking, just had a major injury to James Harden. Joel Embiid hasn't necessarily been the most healthy of players throughout their career. And though you have Tyrese Maxey, you also have Doc Rivers. Guys, I absolutely love the game of Tyrese Maxey, and if there's one good thing that possibly comes from this injury to James Harden, it's the reps that Tyrese Maxey can gain. Against the Toronto Raptors with no Embiid, Tyrese Maxey would go on to drop 44 points on 15 of 20 shooting and 9 of 12 from the three-point line. According to ESPN Stats and Info, Tyrese Maxey will become the third player in NBA history to record 40 points and 9+ made three-point field goals in a game while shooting 75% from the field and 75% from the three-point line. He would also go on to tie Kyrie Irving and Yao Ming for the most points and a half on 100% shooting by a player in the play-by-play era. I don't know about you guys, but to me, that is just some filthy stuff from a guy that is evolving into an absolute star. As much respect as I have for the 76ers roster and Morey trying to assemble as many Rockets as possible, I think it's kind of funny how James Harden took this pay cut, and while the 76ers got PJ Tucker and Daniel House out of that pay cut, they also managed to find a way to lose 2 second-round picks according to Shams. I really like PJ Tucker, but at this stage of his career, I really don't think that he gives you enough on the defensive side of the basketball to warrant playing him heavy minutes. Because on offense, all you're getting is the occasional corner three and putback. Again, though, the 76ers struggles go far beyond the shortcomings of PJ Tucker. What I really hate for Philly is that they have multiple level MVP caliber guys on the roster, and one of those guys, at least as of right now, is still in their prime. That prime is not something that I want to see wasted by poor coaching and poor decisions all around. Guys, I don't want to push the Paul Reed agenda too hard, but against the Knicks, this guy literally had 6 steals in 18 minutes. The 76ers would go on to lose this game by 2. Now, fortunately for the Sixers, though Harden is hurt, they did acquire Melton this offseason, who is one of the better role players in the league. He's going to have a lot asked of him for this upcoming stretch, and yeah, he's going to have to shoot better than 4 of 18 from the field. Guys, in the comments below, let me know how you feel about this team. I know I can't be the only one that thinks Niang at center is a sign of desperation. Hopefully Tobias, Harold, Maxey, and the gang are able to step up before this season takes a turn for the worse. Clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.